6:28 a.m. Sunday, May 15th, 2022. In about 15 hours, the lunar eclipse begins. Had a really good night tonight. Given the amount of business that we had on Thursday, the money that I made on Friday was what I should have made on Thursday. On Saturday, which was tonight, yesterday, in tips alone, I made what I took home on Friday. Returned the core for the rear caliper, added that to the coffer. Manager of the store says, you wouldn't happen to have any change on you. I barely had enough to make a bank, and I still have to make more. And Saturday night, everything's closed. And I was like, no, I don't. Oh, wait, no, that's right. I got my jar in my truck still. I meant to cash in the Alex Jones's right jar, and never have been in town at a time when they've been open in the front lobby at the credit union. So she says, yeah. I was like, okay, cool. So she says, just dump it on the table and I'll stack them out. And so I ended up catching like $70 in change, cash in, turned into paper. And there's probably another $20 that she didn't feel like getting into because she really didn't need it for Sunday's banks. And so I put that back in the jar. I've decided not on this set of days off necessarily, but probably next Monday I'm going to, not this coming, but the next, going to go ahead and replace the caliper and hose on the driver front side of the vehicle. Not going to replace the pads, but I'm thinking the pads are in good enough shape and I don't think they're unevenly worn, so that if I go ahead and swap out that caliper, that I can turn in the core. That one was purchased before the new year. Part of the inflation, don't know if you knew this, not everybody does their own auto repairs. Not everybody is a well-known regular at the parts store. I paid, okay, so what happens is this. There's a lot of car parts that when you buy them to install yourself, or the mechanics will do the same, there is the cost of the part, and then there is what is called the core charge, and it's kind of like a deposit. And you pay the core charge, and you get that back when you return the old part that you replaced. And the reason they do this is that they're buying this back from you in a way. They charge you the core. Some people never return the core. They make the $50. The store does, right? Other people return the core. The store then pays you out your $50 and sells the part for, probably another 50, which they will then receive back, having been cleaned, remanufactured, repaired if possible. Most of the time, most of the parts you buy will be remanufactured. This brake caliper unit, the actual chunk of metal, unless it is physically damaged, they take out all of the moving parts. They clean out all the little chambers and cavities and tubes or whatever. Clean the threads and all that. And if it can be remade into a fully functional as new device, they will. And then they will sell it. And then you will buy it. And when you go to buy it, you pay a core charge. So that then when you replace, you take the old one, you get your money back. They take that. It's kind of a recycling thing. It's pretty cool. So as far as inflation goes, in December, when I bought this front caliper, the core charge was $50, which means that on this front caliper, I could buy one at the store tomorrow, and the core charge would be $55. It's a $50 core because it was purchased before the new year. Since then, inflation prices are going up, even in that the costs of parts are going to go up and the core charges are going to go up. But it's not necessarily like, oh, I get more money. Well, what's your money worth these days? Found out a roundabout way about this business with the dude in Buffalo. I do not have all the information. However, some of the information that I have is not cool. You may recall I've spoken on the Ukraine is for Grifters videos talking about the Nazis, not neo-Nazis, actual Nazis. Now the guy in Buffalo was a neo-Nazi. The thing is, the person who did the thing in Buffalo was copycatting or just reading off the same script, I don't know, allegedly, as someone from about a month ago in Washington, D.C., who also live streamed such an event. The guy in Buffalo reportedly was shouting a battle cry of the original battalion that went on to become the Azov. And it was popularized by the guy whom they idolize, who kept their battalion on the side of Hitler and the Nazis against Russia throughout World War II because they wanted to help exterminate Poland. There, I believe, have been ethnic cleansing campaigns in the separatist regions in Ukraine of all people of Russian descent. So he traveled a long distance, apparently. First-person camera live streamed from a helmet. Specific targets. Now, in my previous videos, I may have mentioned, if I recall, that it has in fact been widely reported that this battalion takes in outsiders, trains them in their basic training, in their military, privately, and then send them back on their way to wherever they're from. This was discussed at length with a number of the news and punditry folks that are outside of the mainstream, because obviously the mainstream is still the mainstream, and they even for the false dichotomy right versus left business, even the right side ones are, you know, this is terrible, what Putin's doing is terrible, and pretending that it's okay that the people we're backing financially, governmentally, international cooperation, Shubin Namana Pravada pressurely are Nazis. Real Nazis. So this guy went and did a heinous, terrible thing. He live streamed it, first-person shooter style, and used this Ukraine Nazi battle cry. How much do you want to bet he was trained at one of those camps where they train people and then send them on their way? It's a terrible tragedy. I will assume that it was real at this time. However, there have in the past been incidents that occurred that the media said were real, that were nonetheless someone on the payroll of someone higher doing a job, and not a crazy person having an outburst. They wanted you to think that they were a crazy person having an outburst. They made it look like they were a crazy person having an outburst. And there were victims, real deaths, but the person who did it was not some random wacko. I am waiting for the media and the current administration, which we might as well start calling a regime at this point, to begin saying that people who look like me are the greatest terror threat because they have this skin color, which is horribly racist, also not true. And let's wait and see and find out, what the real deal with the thing was. It's too soon to know for sure. But, yeah, if this dude was wearing an emblem, either on his shirt or on his gear, and was shouting a particular expression that contains the word Ukraine in it, that was popularized and used by this group of Nazis since World War II. I wonder how the media is going to try and spin that. Are they just going to not talk about it? Is it going to be one of those things where people thought that Rittenhouse killed black people kind of things? Not, wife beater, grandma stabber, child molester. Are all the people who support the current thing, the blue and the yellow, are they going to think that he was shouting for the freedom of Ukraine, even though, how will they rationalize that? He showed up someplace to just kill black people? Dressed like an Azov, acting and speaking like an Azov. How can they spin that? How will people attempt to rationalize that into something that fits the narrative and allows them to continue rooting against that guy while simultaneously rooting for the people who pretty obviously trained that guy? So, tonight there is a lunar eclipse. I will engage no power. I will cast no magic, and I will incant no spell. It's the safest way to be during times like that. You might think, oh, with the power and the magic, but no. Do not fuck with eclipses. That's all I got.